Hello, my name is Daria Eremenko, and this is very first episode of podcast 3 Reasons Why. And today we have very special guest, Eleanor Wills, Sustainability Support Officer in Bournemouth University. She's a great expert in sustainability field. So, Eleanor, hi.
Hello, thank you for having me today.
I have 3 very important questions for you. First of all, could you please explain why sustainability is extremely important right now?
So I would argue that sustainability is not just important now, but it's important for our past and how we've lived and survived up to this long, and it's crucially important to our future. When we define sustainability, we look at the 3 pillars of sustainability, so environment, social and economic. And I think those are really good reasons as to why sustainability is important, because so if we take the environmental one and we're looking at the climate crisis, we risk ecosystem collapse and biodiversity loss. We're threatening up to 50% of our land-based species this century. And so the environmental impact of what we're doing right now is profound and catastrophic. So it's really crucially important that we make a difference. Looking at the second pillar, social, the climate crisis really does affect everything that we rely on. It affects food security, health. It is massively unequal in its impacts and vulnerability. It's threatening livelihoods, it's ending lives. And realistically, with all these impacts happening, it will lead to political destabilisation, migration, a lot of issues that are just not pleasant for anyone to think about. So the social impact is a second reason. And thirdly is economic. Climate change has been deemed to be the biggest threat to the global economy for about 4 years running. So even if a lot of the time people think that it's normally environment or economic, it's really not. The 2 things can't be separated. So I would say my broad impacts is environmental, social and economic. We can't use any of these properly if we are not treating sustainability as a priority.
What are the main 3 key challenges of sustainability today?
Ooh, big question. There's a lot of challenges that we face right now. Realistically, the science is nearly there, but I would say that one challenge is that we don't have all the answers. Scientifically, there's technologies that we need and problems that need solving that we haven't solved yet in terms of feasibility. So the first challenge is just the knowledge to know what to do and how to address things. The second challenge is how interconnected everything is. We're very good at solving individual problems. So like the ozone hole, that was a very good problem that we solved because it was linked to one specific cause. But as I explained in my previous answer, everything is so interlinked with sustainability. So it's a really different style of problem to solve, and one that our human minds aren't very good at analysing. So I think the challenge is, how do we manage to change how we solve problems to do it in a way that's comprehensive and effective? And the third way would be mindset. There's a really fantastic quote. It was a scientist who thought that the main challenges to climate were technological and ecological, but he said that actually he was wrong. And with all this research, that he found that the main things that are challenges to climate are greed, selfishness and apathy. And the cultural mindset and the way that we as individuals work and the values that we have fundamentally need to change to reprioritise. And that is such a massive thing to do. We can see that, right? So the third biggest challenge is ourselves and how we look at the world and how we see ourselves as part of the world, and the impact that we want to create is a really massive challenge to face right now.
So maybe we can give some tips and some 3 easy things that everyone can do every day to reduce waste.
I think the first thing to do with waste is to see that nothing is waste. If we ever get rid of something, it still exists. We just don't see it anymore in the bin. And with that same mindset, whatever we have had to be produced and had to be transported, etc., etc. So I would say the mindset that we can do in every single choice we make is, what are we causing to be produced? So anything we buy could potentially become waste. So that means that there's not only 3 ways, there's literally everything that we do or interact with is a choice that we're making about whether we want to contribute to buying something that could produce waste. So guess the key would be areas, so fashion being a huge one. What can we do to reuse and to share clothing, buy second hand, etc., etc. Second big area probably is electronics. How efficient are electronics? How long will they last? And the third part, actually, I'd just say is reflecting on what we actually need, because the concept of waste reduction is we buy less, then we share and we reuse, we repair, and then finally we go on to looking at waste. So I think if we have that mindset for everything, then that can be really beneficial. And there's so many ways out there. There's lots of zero waste shops now. There's lots of community sharing schemes. We've got the community kitchen at the student union. There's loads of ways to get into that sharing culture. So I just say explore it and take your own journey in seeing your waste as something that is a choice for you to make.
Very good advices. Thank you, Eleanor. It was 3 Reasons Why podcast. Thank you for listening.